When you're a target of emotional abuse, you have to suppress your intuition because otherwise you probably wouldn't be able to stay in the relationship. Welcome to the Common Ego community. My name is Christina, and we're going to dive right into this topic. So, when it comes to emotional abuse, your intuition pretty quickly falls by the wayside when you get involved in a relationship like this. So let's say we're talking about a romantic relationship or even a work relationship where you're engaging with an emotional abuser, an emotionally abusive person. Usually, I would say almost always, there are some red flags early on. Because these people, the people who do the abusing, they don't have a lot of patience. They're not really in it for the long haul. They want to weed out who's going to be a good target and who's not. And if you're paying attention, you'll probably see signs. So for example, if it's a romantic relationship, that person, they call that first stage love bombing for a reason. They're all in. They might be calling you their soulmate, or they might say I love you after just, a couple of weeks, and on some level that something's not right there, but you overlook it because everything else seems great and you really want this relationship. In most cases, it's a slight lean towards codependency that makes you overlook those things. But in overlooking them, you're not trusting your intuition. Your intuition is telling you this person is not emotionally healthy and we should probably run. But then there's another part of your mind that's like, no, it's okay. We're gonna stick this out and see how it goes. So right off the bat, these types of relationships kind of eat away at your trusting of your intuition. Maybe there weren't red flags, maybe you missed them in the first stages of the relationship. But then once you get into it, once you get into the devaluing, then there's something going on. So in the early stages of devaluing, it's usually subtle, but there's stuff there. There's something there. There might be some triangulation. There might be some cheating, and but you, for whatever reason, you feel like you need this person, you need this relationship, and you need that. What your intuition is telling you, you need it to not be true. So you suppress it, you keep it down. This is something that we learn later, right? That's never going to serve you when you're keeping your intuition down. What you're essentially saying is that I trust this other person over myself. And as we come out of it, that's something that we have to deprogram because really we need to be trusting ourselves and our intuition because they're usually spot on. If you're in tune with your body and your signs, you know when you have that gut feeling, and you don't really need any more confirmation, right? But in these relationships where it's a combination of emotionally abusive tactics and your own want and need for this relationship to work, that kind of forces that intuition down. And so we definitely, as we come out of that relationship, that's something that we need to work on, building it back up. When the abuser, so if you're in a romantic relationship with someone who is emotionally abusive, there will be hoovering. But even if you're in another relationship, a different type of relationship with an emotionally abusive person, the narcissist or another emotional abuser, there's still phases. There's still phases where, because they have to suck you in, they have to keep you there. So it can't all be bad. So there's going to be the good, the bad, the good, the good, the bad, the good, right? So whatever. So when you're in that good phase again in an emotional relationship, it's called hoovering. They've already discarded you. They said, I don't need you in my life. And then suddenly they're coming back like, oh, I was so wrong, and whatever. They say all the things that you wanted to hear. And if we're being honest with ourselves, we know on some level that it's insincere. There's a little bit of a caveat. There is some sincerity to it when you're dealing with a narcissist or someone else. If their hoovering attempts aren't working, you kind of feel this desperation. They need you. They need you to come back. And that's real. They do, because if you don't, you'll cause a narcissistic injury. And it's a blow to their ego that they will get over, and they'll get over it quickly, but for a short time it'll hurt deeply, and they want to avoid that at all costs. So you kind of do feel a little bit of, there's this slight bit of sincerity, but mostly you probably have the sense that the stuff they're saying isn't really true on every level. So they may say like, oh, yeah, I discarded you, but you've always been the one. You've always been on my mind. But then there's something in you that's like, but that doesn't even make sense, Like, what? Then why would you let me go? Like, you know, you know, you know the truth. You're in your soul, you know the truth, but you let this person override your intuition, and you do it willingly, because you want that relationship. You want to be back to where, in that love bombing phase when things were so great. Or if it's another type of relationship, you just want to be back to where things were good, where you guys were friends and everything was cool, or whatever it is. So yeah, so you suppress your intuition. But when you get out of it and you start looking back, you realize that your intuition is what could have saved you from all of this all along, right? So it's important that we get back to our intuition, that we start trusting ourselves again. One really easy way to do that, and it's actually, I found it's really helpful in dealing with somebody who is, like, if you still have to deal with this person who is emotionally abusive, I found that this tip is also really helpful. Super simple. Just listen to your body. Pay attention to what's going on. Like, if somebody's talking to you, if somebody's saying something to you, and what's going on in your body? What do you feel? Do you feel anger? Do you feel anxiety? Do you feel happy? What is going on there? And just really, really feel into that, and try to listen to that feeling. Try to honor that feeling instead of suppressing it. And there are actually more detailed tips that I can give you on learning how to trust your intuition, and there are some tricks to doing it, and we're gonna cover that in maybe the next video. But for now, if you can just start doing that, you will start feeling more in touch with your own intuition. Okay, so now I want to hear from you. How do you feel about your own intuition coming out of an emotionally abusive relationship? Do you feel like it's weaker than it was going in? Comment below, let me know. If you like this video, if you want to see more like it, subscribe and hit the notification bell so you'll get notified when I post new videos. And that's all I have to say for now, so talk soon.